Okay, we're gonna do some graphite, I think. Haven't done graphite in a while. Haven't done any on my channel. So let's, and I have a piece of paper here so that my hand won't smudge it. The Derwent and Caran d'Ache were two of my favorites. And then I have these others, Artist Lofts. But I have an HB, a 4B, a 2B, and a 6B. And then I also have a sharpener, which I like really, really super sharp pencil. This has a definite edge here. I am going to pull up right in the center there where that highlight is, though, because there's no value there. And there's nothing around the edge there. Okay, little Tombow eraser right here. Yeah, now we're talking. Okay, and right in there. Hair is always hard for So first thing you want to do is put on a very light, we're not going to do it anywhere where there's white, but we're going to get ourselves a stump and we're going to put on a light coat everywhere. And then we'll go back over it with little hairs. There's no hair here. So I'm right here. All right, so let's, oh, I should probably do this. I often forget and then mess up my work. But I want you to be able to see it. There we go. All right, it's a good idea to put a piece of paper over your work so it doesn't smudge. Okay, so here, here's our white spot right here. There's some black in there. Not bad, huh? So let's see. Comes around here. Okay, so we're just lightly moving in the direction of the fur. I'm going to go back and add value. I'm going to build up the value, but I'm just putting in the fur. That's real short strokes here. I go back over it several times to build up the value being the dark and the light, and the and I have to do it all in the same direction of the fur. Looking at his fur on his face moves in all different directions, and that's what's creating the contour of the shape of the face, and that's going to really help the realism. And since there's really not a lot of shadow, to be honest, because it's a straight-on photograph, but the contour of the face and the direction of the fur is going to create the darks and the lights. And so by looking at it closely and just paying attention to the direction of the fur, you're learning about, okay, so here the fur goes over this curve right here, and then it goes this way. So it's going over here, but then it's still going the same direction, but it's going the same direction because it's coming from underneath the curve of this face right here. So it needs to be a different stroke. And then this starts to go this way a little bit. And then we're starting to slowly move in a different direction. And whether your strokes come towards you or away from you also will change the look of the stroke. So it's probably a good idea to be consistent, which I am not being. Okay, now the muzzle, there's white, but there's also a little bit of darkness right here on the edge. And It's very curved. That's what kind of gives that curved look to its muzzle. So I like that. And I'm going to go in here too. And there's a little bit of the now under here, this is less fur and more just dark shadow. So I'm going to, but it's not as dark as the nose. The nose is definitely darker. So I want to be lighter than the nose. I can always go back and make the nose darker too. I was careful not to make it my darkest. That's why I start with light and move to dark. If you start right away with dark, you have nowhere to go. And then you realize later that you've kind of made a mess of it. So it's always a good idea to build your colors up in pretty much any medium that you do. Even with watercolor, I do that. Kind of learned the hard way. Got his little lip there, which I think isn't really the right size, but at this point I am going with it. I'm going to go back and start to build up my color now. And I think I'm going to switch out to pencils. What am I going to do here? All right, so let's see if we can get some value around this eye here. Okay, so I'm looking at this dark area right here. This is pretty dark when it comes to the areas of the fur that are the darkest. It's here, 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 around the eyes, definitely. So I'm going to go up because I'm definitely going to change pencils when it for other areas because this is one of my darker ones. This is a 4B. So I'm going to stick with the 4B for the darker areas. Because it's definitely giving me some good values right now. Now, because this is fur, I don't really want to use a blending tool because, I mean, his fur is really, if I blend it, it's going to look really smudgy and it's not going to have that fur characteristic. So I don't think I'm going to use a blending tool. I may go back a little bit later in the end and do maybe around the nose but once you start using the blending stump, you kind of have to go with it because it changes the look of the whole thing. So you have to be careful with that, the blending stump. Okay, so now I've got some lighter areas coming in here, so I don't want to do too much with the dark. Just doing it very lightly right there. We still have some more here. And let's see. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to this eye. Notice how much more depth it has as soon as you add that really dark in. That's super dark. And you can go back with a little bit of charcoal at the end and really, really pop just a few things. And that, like the eyes and the nose, and just a few areas. And that will make it. Makes it super realistic if you've done well with the rendering to begin with. I have done the darks right under here. So if you look right there on the eye, and I've gotten into the real dark part here. This is lighter, so I'm going to leave that light, and I need to go in and do some of this darks in here. All right, so I'm going back to a 2B. So the word value just means shades of dark and light. Hue means color. So if I were to work with colored pencil, I would be talking about a hue. But when I talk about value, I'm just talking about shades of dark and light. And so as you can see, now I'm working right here. And I'm just building up a little bit more. I'll move the camera a little more centered. There we go. And now that there's the white of the muzzle, I'm kind of doing some strokes into the muzzle. And there's a little bit of dark right here, little strokes. So this is fun because this is where it's going to start to really look like fur. And because I did my whole bottom layer with strokes, as I'm going on top, those strokes kind of show through, and that's one of the ways that it looks like fur. But I'm still drawing in the direction of the fur. And I think that's really important. When it's dark, I tend to do little circles, but I still think when you're drawing fur, you want to use your pencil in the direction of the fur. So that's going to make it look more like dog fur. You especially want to use those directional lines on edges, where there's different colors coming together, because that's definitely a spot where you see those hairs more in the picture, where I see the different colors of fur is on those edges of where the fur. And sometimes I accidentally, my strokes curl at the end. I have to be really careful not to do that because fur doesn't do that. You can see if you look really closely here on my drawing. I don't know. Maybe I'll try to zoom in on that. But I've hooked it. So as I'm drawing, I accidentally do that. You can see that. There you go. I want to avoid that. That's something that I do sometimes when I'm drawing. But that's not a realistic stroke. I want to try to do that. And it helps if you're going from that direction. But I sometimes like to draw this direction. It depends. But that's when I tend to get the hooks, when I'm pulling away. I guess I would say from right to left, because I'm right-handed. Left to right, I tend to get more even strokes, but it depends on the picture. This is when I tend to get more hooks. So I have to be really careful about that. All right. Since I'm in the white, I really want to be very, very light. So I'm really holding my pencil by the end so that I can have really literally no pressure on it. Because I'm considering these shadows more than fur. This is just a little bit of shadow in here. So I am doing little areas here. There's some darker fur, but most of this, there's just little shadows in here that I'm kind of adding. The key to realistic drawing is drawing absolutely everything, shading everything, everything you see. And then you go back after you've drawn it and you look again and you'll see more things. The first pass is never enough. You always need to go back a couple of times and then go back again, because the first time you look at something, your eyes do what they do in your daily life, which is just, take in what you need. The details are passed over. But when you're looking to draw, you want those details, because that's where the realism lies. Okay, so I'm back to HB now because I want to darken this area here. And I'm actually drawing strokes because while there is some shadow here, there's also, I see a lot more hairs in here now, and they are definitely individualized hairs that I can see when I look at the dog. A little bit darker right here up the edge to differentiate that muzzle there. Little round circles to just give it some shadow up that edge so we can see where his lip goes into the area around the nose. There is kind of, if you look at the picture, there is kind of a like a dark area of hair there. Sure, okay, you're good. I'm going to go back to here, and I'm just doing my very, very lightest strokes. So I'm going to go grip it at the end. So that's how I can guarantee I'm doing really light strokes, because my hand is at the end of the pencil, so there's no way for me to push. And I'm going to make sure that I'm drawing in the direction of the fur, which is, in this case, the fur is literally going away from the center out, center of his nose. I don't like this line right here. Okay, because that's actually white. I had a dark line drawn there, which didn't make any sense at all. Okay. I try not to brush away anything with my hand at this point, because it's going to smear it. So definitely at that point now, since the pencil has built up. Kind of a middle ground here, because I want some value in here, because this is a little bit lighter, but it's not, so just kind of filling in. So I wanted to go over my my first layer. I'm working in this area here, which is a little lighter on the dog. A little lighter, but with some definite areas of darks. So we're gonna, and the fur is, there's some really long strokes in there right now. And I'm gonna start with an HB, which is a little lighter. So the way the pencils work is you have two categories of value, your H's and your B's. The H's are hard graphite. It's not lead anymore. Now it's called lead. So, and the B is the soft lead. So the H is the lighter value because the lead is hard and it doesn't put as much graphite on the paper. The bigger the number, the less graphite goes on the paper, so the lighter the lead. So in other words, you have like a 2H, which is going to be a light pencil, and then you have a 4H, which is going to be a super light pencil. Your HB is right in between an H and a B. Your Bs go the opposite way. So you have a really soft lead. So a 2B is, you know, it's a very medium soft, and then you go all the way up to, I don't know, I think my biggest is a 7B, which is really soft, which makes it really, really dark because it has a real soft lead and it puts a lot of graphite on the paper. So think of it like the number line, right? Your HB is right in the middle. And that's 0. And your H's are your negative numbers and your B's are your positive numbers. I don't know if there's any math people out there. I've taught math before, so that's where my brain goes. Anyway, so you do need to be careful with H's because they are hard to erase because the lead is hard. People tend to push and to make a darker value, and then it can be really hard to erase. So you have to be careful with H's. You shouldn't push hard with any pencil, really. You want to change the pencil if you need a darker value, and then you just push softly and build up your darkness. You can even use, you know, the H over and over again to build up the darkness, but it's going to look really pale. It's never going to get that deep, dark value. The purpose of an H is to do something like this, which is, you know, just have a really light value. So there's, and the H's are great for the beginning, quick outlining, quick drawing, so that you can easily, if you don't push hard, you can easily erase it because it's a very light. Try to lighten this up right here because it's right on the edge of the white. So I don't know what I'm doing here. Let's see. Okay, so I went back to an HB here. No, I'm sorry, 4H. So there's white here. Okay, these really short little strokes where I'm lifting the pencil. There we go. So I'm doing this. Okay, going back into 4H because okay, here we go. All right, so this is where I am right here. And I'm looking at these areas here. The dark area here, trying to define this muscle or this area of the face. And I'm using an HB right now, and I'm going back and forth between a 2B and an HB. Okay, so. And yeah, the stroke length, or the stroke direction, I should say, is right. It's going down.
Okay, I lightened up the edges of this. So, to the Christmas hat. So I'm gonna get some, we just want some fur in here, you know. There's really no shadow in this picture, so it's very light.